achieved a milestone so far, and we have completed 4 chapters in Excel for data analytics. We started with the introduction to the application. We also looked at interface and file management, data entry and formatting, and data tables. With this, we now have an understanding of how the application looks like and what are some of the common features that we can use within the application. Right? Right now, we are standing at a point where what we have learned is from the basics of the application, Excel, and then now we are moving into formulas. Formula is the biggest chunk that we are going to study, and it forms the basics of what Excel is all about. It gives you the power of manipulating data. It gives you the power of thinking logically, right? So let's deep dive into what is a formula and what is a function, right? So formula is something that you formulate from scratch and you do not use any predefined functions, right? So what I mean by predefined is in Excel we have a lot of formulas. If you are studying this, you must have seen at least 1 or 2 formulas in your lifetime, right? Being used in Excel. Like if you do not use those formula directly into a calculation and you use numbers or references directly, it becomes a formula because you're formulating something. Function, on the other hand, is a technical word that basically means you are getting one or more outputs, sometimes none, and you feed it into a black box, which is a function, and you get something in return, which is the output value. Normally, I will use them like without a distinction. So whenever I say formula or function, in the context of this course, I will mean exact same thing. So we will not formalize the difference throughout the course. It is function or formula or both. Right? Now, formulas, as I said, is the backbone of the entire course, right? So we will need to know everything about formulas, but not all formulas, right? So what I mean is I will give you, uh, I will teach you the formulas in a way that you will understand there are certain functions, okay, that are used for certain things. And I will segment these functions into different um, categories so that you understand there are different types of formulas, right? If you look at the top, we have financial, logical, text, date and time, lookup, maths, and more functions from other key areas in the world of study, right? So my thought process is that I'll take each of these segments separately and introduce you to the key formulas within each segment. And then we look at some of the example that uses all these formulas one by one and a combination of these formulas, so you have a better understanding of how to not only use formula but how to think about what formula will fit where. I will give you the tools and techniques to understand how to think about a problem and how to use different parts and different formulas to fit together well in order to solve your problem, right? So let's first jump into the basics of order of operations, right? You must have heard about BODMAS, uh, BEDMAS or BEMDAS, right? So what it means is that whenever you are creating a formula, there are order of operations, right? What operation will be performed first, right? In this example, let's break down this into chunks. So I have this formula. You have an equals to sign, you have numbers, you have operators, right? So the symbols that you see are basically called operators. The numbers of functions or formulas that you use within the formula, they are called operands, right? Any function that you write on Excel has to start from either equals to or plus or minus. Minus is not generally used, but it can start a function. For example, if I do minus 9 and multiply that by 3, you will see minus 27. So in case you are looking for negative values, you can start the function with negative value or something similar. We can start the function from plus, which will work exactly like an equals to sign. So plus, let's say 2 uh, multiplied by 3, exact same as equals to would give 2 multiplied by 3, right? So that's how we start a function in Excel. Unless you start it with these three symbols, the Excel will not know whether it is a function or not, right? However, if you look closely, I have examples here which start from equals to, but they are not um, generalized or they are not interpreted as formulas. The reason is the single quote. So if you want the formula as is, and if you are starting something with equals to or plus or negative sign, you need to insert a single quote in the start of the string so that Excel ignores the formula and treat it as textual information. Okay, so now let's start with the order of operations. So in order of operations, the first thing that is calculated is brackets or parentheses. So anything within the brackets. So for example, 2 multiplied by 3 plus 5, 3 plus 5 being within the brackets, 3 plus 5 will be evaluated first, right? After the brackets, exponents or raised to the power operators will be performed next. And then there is a tie between multiplication and division in Excel. Normally we have heard that division is the operation that is performed first, but in Excel it happens from left to right and there is a tie between multiplication and division. Okay, so if you look at it here, we have a tie between division and multiplication. So if you go from left to right, the division will happen first. So 20 divided by 4, 5 into 2, which gives us 10. Right? Same thing here. You have 8 multiplied by 2 divided by 3. Because it's a tie between multiplication and division, uh, we go from left to right and we solve the left operator first, which is multiplication in this case. So 8 into 2, 16 divided by 3, 5.33. There is a tie between addition and subtraction. However, uh, going from left to right or right to left will not make any difference at all because the end result will always remain the same. Complex tie example. So um, let's forget about this example. What I want to emphasize is that whenever you see all these kind of examples, you have to think about things very differently, right? So the first question, okay, that comes to my mind is what will happen if I have something here which is a little more complex than just 3 plus 5? What will happen if I have, let's say, let me just copy this. Okay, what will happen if I have multiply and then divide by 3? Right, what will happen, because we are saying that brackets will be opened first or evaluated first. What if I have another calculation within brackets, right? So within the bracket, the same rule will apply, right? We go from left to right. So 3 multiplied by 5, 15 will be the thing that will be evaluated first, right? It's a simple cascading theory that anything that you see complex enough, you have to break it down into smaller problems so that you understand it clearly, first of all, so that you can manage to understand it clearly and it makes sense throughout. So once you have these building blocks of how to calculate a number, uh, how to calculate a formula, you will know that things will become very easy, right? Not that you are going to use these things on regular basis, but it is important to know what is expected when you write something on Excel. With this, I'll give you one tip, and the tip is don't let Excel decide. Think for yourself and create the formulas in a way that are predefined, right? So if I do 2 into 3 into 5 divide by 3, right? I want, let's say, 5 divided by 3 to be calculated first. I will do it, I will write it within the brackets itself. So what is happening here? We have a little more complex example where we have two brackets now. Which one will be evaluated first? Right? Obviously, the innermost parentheses or brackets will be evaluated first, right? So Excel will know that, okay, this is the result of this bracket, which is 1.66, and then 3 into this, and then the outer bracket will be opened, and then the rest of the operations will be performed as is.